Hello there everybody, coming up for you today, a former NXT star has debuted in AEW. WWE has pulled the match between AJ Styles and Omos because apparently it sucked. We've got an update on Via for you since you all keep asking, and the full card has been set for New Year's Evil. Hello there everybody, me, Adam Cleary, that's it. That was my entire Christmas break. That's just me back in the office right now there this second. We'll get rid of these Christmas colours because I'm not feeling Christmassy anymore. I've eaten my body weight in roast dinners. I've had so much cheese I thought I was going to go blind. All my presents sucked, but now, don't worry, your New Year's wish is granted and I am back with you for the wrestling news because this is the news. 4 days off, got really rusty. Right, so we start with a report from Wrestling Headlines, and yes, you're right, that is a new jacket, thank you very much. Not yellow, this time I'm evolving as a human being. Anyway, we start with a report, and I'm holding that, from Wrestling Headlines, that former NXT star Jake Atlas has debuted in AEW. That's right, he was one of many scores of human beings who were released by WWE last year. I think August was the last time you would have seen him in a ring. Then he announced he was going to take some time away from the squared circle to focus on his mental health, and now he has reappeared on a batch of tapings for AEW Dynamite Dark, and it's believed he was doing a match as part of the AEW Dynamite Dark Elevation segments opposite Serpentico. That was his match. Anyway, after the match, Tony Khan, he comes out, he shakes his hand, and while AEW have not formally announced that he is signed, well, he's just done a match for them, and Tony Khan's come out afterwards and given him the rub, and it was for a filmed television thing, so you can pretty much take it as read that he has now signed with the company. He'll be going into that mid-card, that cruiserweight division somewhere. Now, one, he is now competing as Kenny Marquez, I think is the name, but two, this is excellent, because Jake Atlas was part of that, and you got to remember, I did all the NXT coverage back in the day. He was part of that latter-day NXT where they just had the log jam at the top because the top stars weren't leaving anymore because they needed them for the TV ratings, but everybody was coming through was all of a sudden not having that route to significant television time that previously they would have had when NXT was just the developmental brand. Obviously the stars would come in, they would get big, they would have their big takeover stuff, and they would do all that things and they would leave, and there was this constant cycle, but you didn't have that when it was on television, did you? Because you needed the top stars, otherwise nobody was going to watch it. And if nobody was going to watch it, there's no point in being on television. If it was on television, they couldn't then just smash AEW in the face like they were trying to do. And Jake Atlas was one of these people who you felt came in and would have had a far bigger role to play in the previous incarnation of NXT than he did in this one. So he just kind of floated around. He picked up a big win here and then a devastating setback there, and then he was sort of in a title feud for a bit. They had that nice four-way with, oh, I've got to wrap my brains here, Swerve, Jake Atlas, someone else, and the guy who they gave the two drug lord names to, Pablo Castillo, Santos Escobar, that's it. They put him in that, and he didn't really do anything, so probably for the best that he left, but it would have been good he didn't leave, because they got rid of him, which was harsh. Anyway, God, you can tell I've not done this in 4 days, can't you? Right, so anyway, he's in AEW now. That's nice. That's good news. I'm going to move on. Right, so here might be the most atypical classic WWE story of all time. So, a little bit of context. AJ Styles and Omos were a fantastic tag team. They put them together. It didn't feel like it should have worked, but it was magnificent. They had a load of great matches. They had a nice long run with the tag team titles, and since then, they've been teasing tension. Can they coexist? And last week, as you may remember from me doing the news about it, they could not coexist. They split up and they tried to smash each other all over, and they quickly announced that there would be a match between AJ Styles and Omos for day one. It was going to be the big splitting up of the pair after they thought about doing it in the draft, but then decided they didn't have the right opponent for him. So now, obviously, AJ Styles, Omos, that was going to be the first feud moving on, even though Styles was doing some stuff in NXT, but we'll forget about that for the time being. So they announced the match. Big match. Almost his big singles debut. Yes, he's had like 4 or 5 previous ones, but they were while he was part of a tag team. They were in some kind of tag team storyline. This was him going out on his own, and Styles, of course, the perfect opponent, the veteran, the man who can drag a good match out of anybody, was the perfect person to put him up against. So they announced it for Raw. They advertised it for Raw. They told you if you watch Raw, you're going to get to see that match. And then we got AJ Styles versus Apollo Crews. Because WWE. Apparently the story goes that Omos was sent home from the show. He did turn up to Raw, which I believe was in Detroit, but was sent home for reasons that are as yet unconfirmed. But thankfully, Big Banter Uncle Dave Meltzer and the rest of their happy little New Year's elves at the Wrestling Observer newsletter have given us the following. It seems I'm not quoting yet. I'll be doing the voice when I'm quoting. It seems that they did them in a singles match at the big Boxing Day house show they had at Madison Square Gardens, and it stunk the place out, so they got cold feet over the TV match. Anyway, the garden match. Did I do the voice? I'm still not gonna do the voice. The garden match with AJ and Omos, I was told, was absolutely horrible. So it's possible they decided at the last minute, like, why put a horrible match on TV? So maybe that's it. Or maybe it's COVID. I don't know. It was a weird thing the way they handled it, because they announced the match at the start of the show, and then all of a sudden, late in the show, AJ goes, come on out, let's do the match. And he's not there. God bless Dave Meltzer, who can still see, at his ripe old age, WWE announce a match and then not do it and go, wow, that's weird. Those guys almost never do that. They do this all the time. Like, for all I know, they might be getting cold feet about the split. Next week, there'll be a tag team, and they'll just never mention the fact that they broke up ever again. They do like doing that one as well. But I should say, obviously this is unconfirmed at the time. We don't know why WWE sent home or why they cancelled the match, but that does seem to indicate that it was something to do with them just not believing that the match was going to be good based on the house show performance and not wanting to put it on television. Now, I will say, if that is true, which we don't know it is, but if that is true, then I actually remain confident in Omos's ability to fix that, because he's incredibly talented. And yes, he's, when you're big, when you're that size in WWE, you do tend to be one note, but that one note is incredibly tuneful. Some poetry from me there. I do think maybe that's just a bit of a blip, maybe a little bit of a setback, but full confidence Cleary here in both AJ Styles and Omos to fix that, and for us to get that television match sooner rather than later. See, look, and it's not even the new year yet, and I'm trying to be positive, try it. Alright, this is an incredibly short story, but an incredibly entertaining one nonetheless. Every time I have asked for Twitter questions for the news last week, and if you've got any, please do send them in at Adam Cleary, Clery. Everybody asks me, where's Veer, Adam? What's happening? Adam, what's the deal with Veer? And every time, I'll be honest, every time I read those, I've not really been keeping... I keep up on the results and the main things that happened on Raw and SmackDown, but I don't see the vignettes, I don't see all the small stuff. And I was looking at that going, well, I don't know. I don't even know who Veer is, to be completely honest with you. But apparently it's this long-running thing. They keep showing these vignettes on Raw. Coming soon to Raw, arriving soon, Veer, and all of this. And apparently it's been going on and on and on and on and on. It's become a bit of a running joke. Now, according to Fightful Select, there was some good eye work there by me, WWE actually knows that this is a running joke. They have become self-aware of their own bad booking practices and are just doing it now because it's funny. The guy's been on main event, he's been quietly picking up wins against absolute nobodies, I think pretty much all of former Retribution members over there, so he has been doing stuff, but they don't know what they want him to do on Raw yet. And obviously they set those vignettes off too early, so they're kind of just stuck with them now, but they know that people find it funny and amusing, so they're just putting them up every single week, despite still not knowing how they're actually going to use him when he finally arrives, which they don't even know when that is. So it's, fair play. You've got a good comedy bit on your hands, so keep doing it. But also, and I can't stress this enough, WWE, we're not laughing with you. Like, people are making fun of you because you're doing this badly. It's not like, haha, everyone finds this funny, haha, look, I'll do it again. No, we're laughing at you. We're laughing at how you've not done this properly yet again, and how it's just what it's like somebody falling over in the road and breaking their nose, and then everybody going, look, the silly man fell down, and then standing up and going, everyone thinks I'm so funny, I'll walk into a wall. It's not, in the long run, it's just going to be painful for you, and then slowly get less funny for us until everybody's just sad. Anyway, that's where Veer is. Alright, now if you're an NXT fan, God bless you for keeping that flag flying, but also you'd have known that they are going to have a big show called New Year's Evil, which again, I just think is absolutely incredible wordplay on their part. But now we have what looks like being a relatively finalized card. We've done the Go Hope show, so there's not really much more they can do about it, but it looks like we've now got a finalized card. And the way they did that was by having big celebrity appearance, big main roster stars appear on NXT. So you thought, you were tuning in, you thought, oh, I'm gonna see Riddle, I'm gonna see Walter, I'm gonna see AJ Styles, and you did! All three of them through video link. I mean, it's Christmas holidays, isn't it? I suppose those guys have got some time off. Haha, must be nice, etc., etc. But we now have a fully set card, and I will read it to you thusly, even though I've closed the tab. Right, so the matches we already knew about. Tommaso Ciampa is taking on Bron Breakker for the NXT Championship. That's exciting. Mandy Rose is taking on Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade in a triple threat for the NXT Women's Championship. That is exciting. Roderick Strong is taking on Carmelo Hayes for the North American Championship. That's the thing where they're going to do the merging with the Cruiserweight Championship because Roderick Strong's going to win. Obviously, that's very interesting. But now, Riddle and MSK are taking on Imperium, as in Eichner, Bartel, and Walter. I think they confirmed this was for the Tag Team Championships, even though it's kind of not really Walter's or Riddle's to be getting involved with, but that is actually quite an exciting match. And AJ Styles will be taking on the guy whose name I can never remember. Grayson Waller. It's just, sorry, NXT do this thing now. That feels unprofessional on my part, but NXT do this thing now where everybody they bring through now sounds like a player you've just made up for a lower league English football team. Like, here comes Grayson Waller. He's a buccaneering right back who's got a good cross on him, but a little bit suspect going the other way. Anyway, all NXT starts on that. Anyway, AJ Styles versus Grayson Waller, that's been confirmed for the show as well. And that, to me, it's that 5 matches. That feels pretty much set. I should say at this point, they haven't actually confirmed that Styles versus Waller will be a match as such, but that does feel more that they've just forgotten to confirm that point. He said that he's going to be there and they're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. So it might just be a talking segment, which would be exciting, or it might be a car park brawl. That would be exciting, but it also you would assume, fingers crossed, will actually just be a match, because if we're not going to get Styles versus Omos, please see my previous news story, we might as well get Styles versus Waller. That'll be nice. Right, quickly time for some Twitter questions, and because I've been having an actual Christmas break, I forgot to ask for any for today. So if you do have any for tomorrow, please get them in at Adam Cleary, CLERY. You know the drill by now. But I did last night when I was incredibly bored do a little Q&A on Instagram, and unfortunately, when I do these, I answer about 3% of all the questions I get asked, because it's just, you're all just so generous with your time and your curiosity. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into this and I'm just going to try and just in case everybody doesn't believe me that I get loads, by the way, that's all the questions that came in. We're still going, yeah. So I'm just going to answer the first 3 wrestling questions I see on that, because I never put wrestling questions on it because my Instagram is for I try and keep it non-work related, and it's just for people to thirst follow me. Tragically, not as many stunningly beautiful women as I would like, but it's still, that is what it's for. So that's the first 3 wrestling questions. Anyway, whatever happened to NXT ups and downs? I gave it to Gareth, and then nobody really seemed that interested in it, so we got Gareth to do other things. It's just a views. It's a views thing. It was a views thing. We would love to do series on everything. We would love to do Impact, and we would love to do NXT. We would love to do ups and downs for everything. But it's kind of the time we put into it has to be relative to the interest in the viewership. And if the interest in the viewership is lower than we'd like, then we can't put as much time into it. So we could do it, but it would look crap and it would be rushed. And we'd rather just not do it. And maybe if NXT gets a big resurgence in popularity, then we'll go back to it. Nothing's ever dead forever. It's just we've kind of gotta go with the market. Anyway, that's number 1. Favorite wrestler at the moment and favorite Premier League baller. My favourite wrestler at the moment by a mile is just CM Punk, because it's really nice to have him back. I wish I had a more interesting answer than that, but as somebody who is now only dipping in and out very casually, seeing Punk around and knowing that he's doing fun things it's just nourishment for the soul. And Joe Linton is the best Premier League footballer. He's one of the worst centre forwards I've ever seen. Turns out he's like prime Patrick Vieira if you just play him a little bit deeper. Anyway, that was a non-wrestling question. Where are we? Who wins the 2022 Royal Rumble for both men and women? I don't know who's going to win for the men. I've not got a clue who's going to win for the men. It might be something. It depends who. It probably depends who wins between Reigns and Lesnar, because I imagine the Rumble winner will be whoever they are getting, because they're going to need to do something fresh with that pairing, whereas Big E's kind of all over the place at the minute. So I imagine it's going to be the winner of that. But for the women's, I'll tell you right now who's going to win the women's, because there's only one answer for who should win the women's, and that is Bayley. You've not seen her since 6 months or something like that. Should be the perfect return win combo, because she's at that level. She was at that level where you know how good she was, and it's been so long since the bad booking that you would just embrace her as a possible champion. Then she's only got to get through like a month or two where they can do the whole, oh, can she still go? Yeah, she won the Rumble, but that's not the same as wrestling the champion. And I don't know, they kind of had her doing stuff with Belair. I wouldn't hate seeing her do stuff with Becky Lynch. Like, I think Bayley's the one and only way to go with that. I'll do one more because I got stuff to be getting on with today. Wrestling question. Whoa, not answering that one. Oh, if you could set up any WhatCulture channel, what would it be and why? Well, if I could set up any WhatCulture channel, I said I was going to do wrestling questions, technically not a wrestling question. I would be doing WhatCulture food, and it would just be me doing like lists on recipes or like editorials on recipes, and just me standing in a really nice kitchen bit doing overhead shots and telling you why you're making lasagna wrong and trying to educate Americans about how cottage pie is not shepherd's pie, is it? Because it's made with beef and shepherd's pie is made with lamb, hence why it's called shepherd's pie, because shepherds look after sheep. God, I was at 100 messages about that, Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's the stressful Twitter question. Send me some less stressful ones for tomorrow and anything that I can do for Nan finally, because I'm no good at looking at these things. Anyway, this is me back. For the rest of the week now, you've got me. I think today's Wednesday. I have no idea what day it is. I think today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I have my actual break. You won't see me for months after that one. Well, probably just a couple of weeks. I don't know how long I've got off. It's some time. Anyway, but thank you very much for watching. I'm so sorry this one's been babbling and incoherent. My brain is just selection box chocolate, and if you cut me, I bleed cranberry sauce at the minute. I'll be back probably on some cognitive level tomorrow. But in the meantime, of course, that was your wrestling news. Let us know what you made of it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, etc. etc. I've been Adam Cleary. Get me on Twitter at Adam Cleary, CLERY, as you've seen there. Go on Instagram. Get me on Instagram at Adam Cleary, CLERY. Why not treat yourself? But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm so sorry about this, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.